Hi, my boos. Today we are at the Poston Japanese Internment Camp memorial site. Want to come check it out with me? Let's go. Poston is located on the Colorado River Indian Reservation and about 15 miles south of Parker, Arizona. Visitors can experience the Poston Memorial Monument, which is surrounded by brick plaques of names of surviving families and which camp or block they were assigned to. On February 19, 1942, just 74 days after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, President Franklin Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066. This set in motion the forced evacuation of all Japanese Americans on the West Coast. The evacuees had to leave almost everything they owned behind and were forced to bring only what they could carry. They were given less than a week to sell their property and get their affairs in order. Many had been very successful businessmen and farmers before the war. A few were fortunate to find honest non-Japanese persons to manage their property during their internment, but most lost everything. The wood and tarp paper barracks were 20 by 100 feet in size, and each designed to accommodate 4 to 6 families inside. The barracks contained kerosene heat stoves and straw mattresses. No water or toilet facilities. No stoves for cooking. Meals were served in community halls, and restroom and shower facilities offered very little privacy. The camp actually consisted of 3 distinct communities, which were further broken down into blocks. A woman in the picture is holding up a sign representing Block 308, Poston Camp Number 3. Due to their harsh conditions, residents referred to Poston Camps 1, 2, and 3 as Roastin', Toastin', and Dustin'. The camps were separated by a distance of 3 miles, but they were all surrounded by a single barbed wire fence. Like all of the relocation centers, Poston had armed guards on duty to prevent escape attempts. There were several schools attended by the children of Poston. For example, Poston Camps 1, 2, and 3 each contained its own accredited high school. The camp newspaper, the Poston Chronicle, was a lifeline of information to the residents inside. Camp libraries were also crucial, but unlike the schools, there were no provisions for public libraries at the relocation centers, and no funding, so their success was due to volunteer efforts and private donations. Poston residents created their own much-needed sources of entertainment. Veterans of the camps later expressed particularly fond memories of the dances. The swimming pool facility in the photo was built by the residents at Poston. Baseball was popular at all locations, but especially at Arizona's other camp in Gila River Relocation Center. Actor and political activist George Takei spent 4 years of his childhood in relocation centers in Arkansas and California. He has often spoken of his experience in the camps, and he recently published an acclaimed graphic memoir titled They Called Us Enemy. In the following video clip, George pays tribute to the Japanese Americans who served in the United States Armed Forces during World War II.
But the amazing thing, the astounding thing, is that thousands of young Japanese American men and women again went from behind those barbed wire fences, put on the same uniform as that of our guards, leaving their families in imprisonment to fight for this country. They said that they were going to fight not only to get their families out from behind those barbed wire fences, but because they cherished the very ideal of what our government stands for, should stand for.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
Right here. Dick and his family and thousands of other Japanese Americans were rounded up, put on a bus, and forced to sell their homes and businesses, and then shipped off to internment camps across the western U.S. One of them was the Poston Camp on the Colorado River Indian Reservation near Parker, Arizona.
They found out it was war hysteria, prejudice, and lack of political leadership. And I think that's probably one of the major ones, was the lack of political leadership. It should have never happened.
As you look around at what's left of the camp, you can't help but hear the footsteps, feel the confusion of those men, women, and children suddenly confined, all wondering, how could our country do this to us? And while many felt that way, Dick was only 4 years into his life.
As I was leaving the memorial site, I wanted to go and try to find some of these abandoned barracks, if you will. So I just started driving down the road and made a turn down this old farm road, and I happened to come across one of the units. Notice all of the barbed wire chain link fence that goes around the perimeter of the camp. There would be guards stationed along this fence, and people would be either arrested or shot if they tried to escape. Some old basketball courts. And then here's some of the abandoned barracks. I believe that's one of the old barns that they also would turn into living quarters. And there's a lot of homeless that have been hanging out in these abandoned encampments. So looks like there was a fire at this one just recently, because you could still smell like the ash in the air when you roll down the window. At this point, I think I'm done. I think this is it. I'm going to turn around at the end of this road. But then I see a hole in the fence where you could actually drive in. So I thought, when in Rome, let's give it a shot. I think it's about at this point where I start getting the hills have eyes type vibes. And I start to think, this might not be the smartest idea I've had, being all by myself. So I'd say I'm just gonna park the car here real quick and just check out these abandoned barracks right in front of me. And that's it. But then I start thinking, how am I gonna do an abandoned video but only shoot one section of the encampment? So let's go explore a little. This looks so rad. A little sketchy. And I'm terrified. Like, please don't let there be anybody living inside here. I hear a rustle in the bush there, and I'm like, please don't let there be a animal. Let's just get out of here. I gotta make it quick. Here's one of the buildings that I recognized from that newscast interview. To my relief, there are locks on all the door and bars on the windows, so I don't think anyone's living in there, but it's still really gross inside. And I would poop myself if somebody were to pop up in that window. So let's keep it moving. At this point, I'm thinking, is anybody watching me? Am I truly all by myself here? At this point, you can start to see, logically, I'm like, start walking back to your car. You're not safe. But then, once again, I'm thinking, but the video. Let me just go and check out this little barrack here and see what it was truly like to live inside one of these things. Holy crap, the wall is falling off. Am I gonna die doing this video right now? Again, please don't let there be anybody living in here. I'm just gonna stick my camera through first. Coast is clear-ish. Okay, I'll stick my head in. Okay, we'll come down here and check it out. At this point, my heart is starting to beat a little more quickly. I'm starting to breathe a little more heavily. What was that? I hear a noise coming from over there. If I see a homeless person or a ghost walk through these windows, I am going to poop myself. At the peak of the camp's population, numbers were over 17,000, mostly coming from Southern California, with few coming from Arizona and the coasts of Oregon and Washington. Life for these Japanese internees were difficult from the start. Due to hurried construction... Oh, cute bench. Due to hurried construction and lacking supplies, the living quarters were barely suitable. There were cracks throughout all the buildings due to shoddy construction. The extreme heats during the summer, sometimes reaching up to 15 degrees, added to the frustration. During nights of the winter seasons, temperatures could reach below 40 degrees, making illness and disease across all the camps prevalent. Tuberculosis was particularly rampant, with more than 140 cases recorded. In true Japanese form, some made the most out of the situations and created new friendships, met their future husbands, got married, had children there. A lot of good, positive memories were made. Although there are some that are still really bitter to this day. Why are there so many nails and fire pits prevalent throughout this whole camp? Makes me think that homeless people are still here, often, frequently, recently. I should probably get out of here. One more look around for some self-reflection on one of the most horrendous times of U.S. history and how unfair we treated some of our U.S. citizens. Still creepy though. The reason I wanted to make this video was because we have a place out at the river in Blythe, which is about 20 minutes from Poston. And I kind of just wanted to learn more about the land, so I went to the Crypt Museum, which is the Colorado Indian Tribe Museum, and they have this little display about Poston Japanese Internment Camp. And I had no idea that this even existed in our history. So I thought I'd do a little research and visit the location, and that's how we ended up here. In the middle of nowhere. That's where we are. We're in the middle of flippin' nowhere. 1976, President Ford formally revoked FDR's Executive Order 9066 and declared Japanese Americans were and are loyal Americans. The Civil Liberties Act of 1988 authorized payments of $20,000 to roughly 80,000 internment survivors, and most importantly, this legislation also directed that these survivors be issued a letter of apology from the government of the United States. The Poston Memorial Monument was dedicated in 1992 and contains this inscription, reminding us of our past and what should never happen in the future. Well, Boos, thanks for coming with me to check out the Poston Japanese Memorial Site. I hope you enjoyed this little piece of history. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Go see you until next time. Peace.